When my wife told me she was heading out of town for 3 weeks to help her sister with the new baby, I said what any responsible 41-year-old husband would say. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Spoiler, I was not fine. Day 1 started harmless enough. I thought I'd treat myself to a gourmet breakfast. In my head, that meant pancakes, bacon, maybe some scrambled eggs. In practice, I poured half a bag of pancake mix into a frying pan, forgot the eggs entirely, and ended up with what I can only describe as a pancake-shaped brick. Even the dog refused a bite, and this is a dog who once ate half a tennis ball. Still, I wasn't worried. I had 3 weeks of absolute freedom, no judgment. No nagging about vegetables or chores, just me, the house, and whatever chaos I wanted to create. By that evening, I'd decided to reinvent myself. I wasn't just a husband left alone. I was a man about to reach his true potential. Step 1, cooking over open fire. We don't own a grill, so I improvised. 3 baking sheets stacked on top of each other, a splash of lighter fluid. And 1 match later, the smoke alarm was screaming like a banshee, and the oven now permanently smells like gasoline. I opened every window, fanned the smoke with a cutting board, and reassured the dog that no, we were not dying. By the time the neighbors stopped glaring at the house, I'd promised myself that tomorrow would be smoother, except tomorrow never gets smoother when you're me. Day 2, I discovered TikTok minimalism. Big mistake, big, huge. Some 20-something influencer with perfect hair convinced me that we only need 1 bowl each to truly live. I got so hyped that I tossed out half the kitchenware. Bowls gone, plates gone. I kept the dog's water dish and 1 oversized salad bowl for myself. That was it. I felt enlightened. Until dinner, when I realized eating spaghetti from a mixing bowl while the dog drank out of a salad bowl didn't exactly scream, balanced adult. By the 3rd day, my entire diet was frozen burritos. I ordered 20 from the store and told myself, this is meal planning. At first, I microwaved them like a normal human. By the end of the week, I was eating them still partly frozen because, quote, it's basically a cold wrap and it saves electricity. The laundry situation spiraled quickly. My wife normally keeps things under control. Without her, I figured I'd rotate between 2 pairs of basketball shorts until she got back. I didn't account for the fact that laundry doesn't magically do itself. By the end of week 1, those shorts had evolved into a stiff, denim-adjacent species of their own. The dog would growl every time I sat down like the shorts were a rival animal. And then, one fateful night, things took a stranger turn. I'd been scrolling Amazon half asleep when I impulse ordered a plastic recorder. You know, the instrument every 4th grader learns hot cross buns on. 2 days later, I was shirtless, standing in the living room, blasting terrible notes because I decided Mozart slapped. The dog hid in the bathroom and didn't come out for hours. By the time I hit the end of week 1, the house didn't look like a home anymore. It looked like the aftermath of a failed frat party hosted by 1 guy and a confused dog. Burnt pans in the sink, burrito wrappers everywhere, random minimalist decor choices like 1 bowl on a shelf by itself. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe this isn't sustainable. Maybe I should pull it together. But instead of pulling it together, I doubled down, because that's who I am when left unsupervised. By the start of week 2, I had convinced myself that eating burritos out of a dog dish wasn't enough of a life upgrade. No, I needed to improve the entire house. My wife would come home, look around, and be stunned at how much better everything looked. At least that was the fantasy. Step 1. Home repair. The towel rack in the bathroom had been loose for months, and I figured this was my time to shine. Armed with a hammer, a screwdriver, and misplaced confidence, I attacked the wall. 10 minutes later, the towel rack was not only more broken than before, but also dangling off drywall that now looked like it had gone 12 rounds with a professional boxer. The hole was so large the dog poked his head through it like a horror movie cameo. Problem solved, I muttered, by which I meant I threw a bath towel over the wreckage and hoped my wife wouldn't notice. Then came my backyard project. See, I had this vision of building a fire pit. A manly, stone-ringed fire pit where I'd roast meat like my ancestors. Except I didn't have stones, firewood, or a clue. So I dragged out an old metal trash can, filled it with sticks and paper, and lit it up. It burned for 3 glorious minutes before the wind picked up and sent flaming receipts flying across the yard. I spent the next half hour chasing fire confetti while the dog barked like he was cheering for chaos. By the time I stomped out the last ember, I was sweaty, singed, and convinced the neighbors were filming me for some "This Guy Shouldn't Be Left Alone" compilation. The spiral continued indoors. I decided the living room needed a minimalist redesign. This consisted of me dragging the couch into the garage because, and I quote myself here, seating is a social construct. The result? One sad recliner in the middle of a giant empty room. It looked less like a home and more like the set of a low-budget interrogation scene. The dog refused to sit with me. Honestly, I didn't blame him. Now you might think at this point I'd slow down, maybe call it quits. Nope. I started ordering gadgets online like I was preparing for the end of the world. A dehydrator, a waffle maker, and something called a meat shredder claw that made me feel like Wolverine. Did I use any of these? Absolutely not. They're still in unopened boxes stacked by the door like I'm running a very confusing yard sale. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, the laundry situation reached critical mass. The shorts, those poor basketball shorts, were now essentially biohazards. They could stand upright on their own. One evening, I tossed them on the couch before I dragged it away, and the dog refused to go near them. Instead, he retreated into the bathtub and made it his permanent home. Every time I walked into the bathroom, there he was, glaring at me from the tub like he was holding a silent protest. By the middle of week 2, my life had become a weird survival documentary. I was living on frozen burritos and tap water, the house was stripped down to bare essentials, and the dog had gone full prisoner of war. And that's when it hit me. Maybe I wasn't just surviving. Maybe I was evolving. I told myself, this is man at his purest form. Independent, resilient, strong. Except I was shirtless, eating half-frozen burritos over the sink while my dog refused to make eye contact with me. If you're enjoying this disaster of a story, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss how much worse this gets. Because in week 3, things went from this guy is a mess to this guy should probably not be left alone, ever. And it all started with ranch dressing, a recorder, and a very, very bad idea. By week 3, my standards had collapsed. If week 1 was denial and week 2 was delusion, week 3 was destruction. It started innocently enough. I wanted a snack. Burritos were running low, and I thought, hey, maybe I should try salad for once. Except remember how I'd thrown out all the bowls? The only option left was the dog's water dish. So there I was, dumping lettuce into a dish that smelled faintly like kibble when inspiration struck. Ranch dressing. Problem, the bottle was almost empty. Solution, squeeze with all my strength like a man trying to get the last drop of toothpaste. Except the cap wasn't screwed on properly, and instead of a drizzle, I launched a pressurized ranch geyser across the kitchen. The cabinets, the counters, even the ceiling fan, everything looked like a crime scene at Hidden Valley. I slipped twice trying to mop it up. The dog poked his head out of the bathtub, took one look, and went right back into hiding. Can't blame him. If I could have, I'd have joined him. Then came the recorder. The plastic recorder I'd ordered earlier in the week arrived, and my brain decided this was the perfect time to reinvent myself as a musician. Mozart slapped, I told myself, as if that justified anything. Shirtless, standing in my ranch-splattered kitchen, I blew out notes that sounded less like music and more like a goose being strangled. I spent hours trying to master hot cross buns. Hours. The dog barked so loud from the bathtub it drowned me out. At one point, the neighbors knocked to ask if everything was okay. I lied and said the smoke alarm had malfunctioned. They didn't look convinced. Now, if you're wondering how things could spiral further, let me introduce you to my brightest idea yet. Candle making. Yes, candle making. TikTok told me it was simple and relaxing, so I melted down old wax bits, poured them into jars, and added what I thought was essential oil. Spoiler, it was cooking oil. The result? A series of rancid-smelling grease candles that filled the house with the aroma of burnt French fries. I lit 3 at once while playing the recorder, thinking it would set a mood. Instead, the combination of bad music and greasy smoke transformed the living room into a medieval torture chamber. The dog barked, then whined, then retreated fully under the shower curtain. I considered joining him. Laundry? Completely abandoned at this point. I had transitioned into wearing Halloween costumes as normal clothes. One day I was a pirate, the next a vampire. My neighbors probably thought I was filming a very low-budget sitcom. By day 18, I no longer trusted myself. I ate frozen burritos without microwaving them. I called them sushi wraps to justify it. I used the waffle maker I'd ordered online, not for waffles, but as a panini press for burritos. This ended in a melted cheese lava flow that welded the appliance shut forever. And then came the night I hit rock bottom. I sat in my recliner, the only piece of furniture left in the living room, shirtless with one hand clutching a recorder and the other holding a half-frozen burrito. Ranch stains painted my shirt like battle scars. The house smelled like burnt wax and regret. The dog stared at me from the bathtub doorway, eyes wide like he was silently begging me to stop, and in that exact moment, I muttered aloud, "I am the burrito." I woke up the next morning to find burrito wrappers on the floor, grease candles melted into grotesque wax puddles, and the recorder stuck between couch cushions like it was hiding from me. My dog refused to come out of the bathroom. He'd relocated his food bowl into the tub, officially abandoning the rest of the house. That was the morning I realized this wasn't just a little chaos. This was a full-blown transformation. I wasn't the man my wife had left behind 3 weeks earlier. I had become something else entirely. The day my wife came home was supposed to be a reunion, 3 weeks apart. She'd hug me, thank me for holding down the fort, maybe even be impressed by how I'd grown. Instead, she walked into a war zone. First, the smell hit her. A mixture of gasoline, burnt plastic, rancid French fries, and despair. Then her eyes adjusted to the sight. No couch, just one sad recliner in the middle of the room. Candle jars coated in greasy soot lined the shelves like cursed relics. The ceiling fan still had streaks of dried ranch dressing arcing across it like modern art. She didn't speak right away. She just looked around. Then she saw me. I was wearing a pirate costume, barefoot, holding a recorder in one hand and a burrito in the other. Her exact words were, "Oh my God." "What did you do?" The dog, sensing salvation, bolted out of the bathtub and into her arms. He barked once, as if to tattle. I tried to explain. I really did. I told her about minimalist living. I told her about the burrito sushi revolution. I even pitched my candle-making side hustle idea. She didn't respond. She just opened the fridge, saw nothing but burrito wrappers and expired ranch bottles, and closed it again like she'd witnessed something unholy. Then she walked into the bathroom, saw the towel rack hole I'd hidden under a bath towel, and just sighed, not an angry sigh, not even disappointed. The kind of sigh people make when they realize a problem is too big to process. She sat down in the recliner, looked at me, and said, "I wish you'd just cheated instead." And honestly, she was right, because cheating at least has some logic to it. What I did was something else. Something that defies logic. A descent into burrito madness, wax candles, and recorder solos that left both me and the dog questioning reality. It took us weeks to clean up. Months even. To this day, the oven still smells faintly of lighter fluid, and the ceiling fan carries ranch scars like battle wounds. My wife made me promise never to be left alone for more than a weekend again. The dog still refuses to drink from the salad bowl I tried to pass off as a water dish, and every once in a while, when I'm sitting quietly, I hear faint notes of hot cross buns in my head. If you enjoyed this disaster of a story, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. I promise the next tale will be less burrito-fueled. Maybe. With that said, thanks for watching. Until next time, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this.